hope that me helping out with the appointment setting has proven to be beneficial to you. We've got a lot of appointments that have gotten set. I've sent out a lot of follow-ups and I'm trying to kind of get the pipeline moving again for you. So I hope that, you can see or tell just from what you're used to experiencing. But I mean, we have 5 on-site estimates for this week, and I know that, you know, out of all of the guys that I work with, who do a lot of different types of work, even like, that the job range, it could be anywhere from whatever to really big jobs or kind of smaller jobs. But on average, you know, even at like $2,000, that's like $10,000 worth of work just this week alone. If, you guys can go and price right and we can close those jobs. But since I'm helping with the appointment setting right now, and you had mentioned like your profitability and how like the jobs just weren't really like the business wasn't really that profitable. I wanted to make sure one, I handled the side that was for the appointment setting, like I told you earlier. And as you can see, we're getting, like I said, a lot of appointments set. But because of everything else that you had talked about with like the profitability and everything, I just took a deeper look into the account. I went back and I did a deeper review on your estimates because I didn't want to give a surface level answer on this stuff. But I pulled the square footage and pricing from like the last 10 to 15 of the recent quotes that had gone out. And I reverse engineered the pattern using the numbers that you had given me for your margins and for your like the $700 for your labor and overhead a day. So this is not me just guessing, right? But this is based on your actual estimates that have been sent out and then your actual pricing that you for costs and pricing that you gave me, right? And after going through it, the main issue is actually pricing right now. As far as like the on-site quotes are going, what I found is that several of the quotes are being sent out below a safe pricing floor based on your own costs. That's why these jobs can feel busy, solid, but basically, like you're saying, it looks like you're not pricing high enough for you to be profitable. Now, the reason that I'm saying this is because of the math behind how jobs are being priced. You told me that materials are around $2 per square foot, and your $700 per day already includes your labor and your overhead, right? You also told me that flake jobs are usually around a day and a half. Metallic jobs are around 3 days, and then bigger metallic jobs can start around like 5 days. So when I ran your recent quotes against that number, I can see where the leak is. Like on a flake job, before we even talk about markup, you have a real base cost that comes from materials plus that day and a half of production costs, right? On metallics, the same idea, but the production time is longer. So that like what it costs you, the base cost gets higher faster, right? And that means if the selling price is not built off of the cost, the margin on that quote that you sent out gets thin super fast. And that's exactly what is happening on a lot of quotes. Some of the quotes that are going out are priced in a very healthy way, and that's important. This is not like an everything is broken conversation. It's just a consistency problem in the quotes that are going out. Some of the quotes are priced in a healthy range, and some are priced just way too low. And that inconsistency is leaking profit out of your business. And this is where like the 30% on top idea is actually hurting your business as well. Because adding 30%, it sounds like a good cushion, but in real margin terms, that's actually a lot thinner than it sounds. By the time that commissions come out and by the time that you deal with, callbacks, extra prep, delays, or any little surprise on the job, that margin, that 30% just gets squeezed down smaller and smaller really hard, right? So what feels like a pricing strategy, it actually starts to turn into a gamble with your business. And that is why it feels like you're working really hard, you're selling, like you're moving jobs, but the money is not stacking the way that it should. That you can tell me if that's how you feel, right? Now, as far as me helping you be able to close jobs, this is where this matters so much in the process of follow-up, because if the quote goes out too low from the start, we don't have any room to call them. We can't negotiate with that customer because the quote is already so low. We don't have any room to be like, hey, we'll take off $500 because the pricing was already so low. There's no room for surprises like on the job. If something happens, the cost is already so low and it eats up how much money you're actually making on the job because you're not charging enough, right? And then again, if the customer pushes back on pricing, like if you start very low, you're already cutting yourself thin, and then they're going to push back on the number you give them. So then when we try to follow up on quotes that have already been sent out to try to save deals that were already underpriced from the first time that the quote went out, it's backwards. Like we can't really do anything. We can't follow up and do anything. The follow up should help you close more jobs. It should not be used to rescue like underpriced jobs. And like almost all of the quotes that I've seen sent out, more than half of the last 10 quotes in my system that were sent out by you guys are priced way too low based on the square footage and how much it costs you to do the job. The price is too low. But we do not need to like just randomly start increasing your prices either. That right? We need a workflow that actually starts with how much your jobs cost, and then it puts the quote that you give to the customer inside of like a low to a high charge that you can charge the customer. So that way you have like a low cost, a premium cost, and then like a target that you're aiming for kind of in the middle, depending on what the job is, what kind of job it is, and then also depending on how good your business is. But you're a really good business, but you need to know that price range when you're giving the quote so you can give the quote as a higher quote to the customer. Like you guys might have been giving some quotes out for like $6 or $7 per square foot, and you need to start at 8 actually, right? If you give it to them at 8, it gives you room to go to like $7.50 or to $7. It gives you some room to like negotiate with the customer. And then it gives you some room if the customer tries to give you pushback on price. They're like, oh, 8, like at least you can walk it back without losing a lot of money, right? And once you have that workflow in place, like you and your sales team and whoever else comes into the epoxy world will be able to, one, go to an estimate and close the job and make sure that you're staying profitable, but then they'll also be able to do follow-up as well, right? And then the follow-up also becomes effective. We can try to give people discounts because you have enough margin and profit in the job, in the pricing, that it becomes effective. So instead of it being like, oh shit, we have no money, we're panicking and we need to try to close some of these quotes, it's more effective and it becomes more like a weapon, right? So the big takeaway is that like the problem right now is not just follow up, but the bigger leak right now is pricing consistency in epoxy. And the good news is that is fixable. And once we tighten up the pricing workflow, the same effort that you're already putting in can produce a lot better margins, a lot better profit, a lot better closes, and like I said, more predictable profit as well. And that is the next move that we need to do. Now that I'm helping you with the appointment setting, we need to lock in how you're charging customers and how the sales process goes. So that way we can do follow up and we can make sure that you're closing deals and making money and making a lot of profit. I hope that this makes sense. I just wanted to go over this because it's the next piece, right? This is the next thing that we need to do. So that way I can help you. And I appreciate you giving me the chance to be able to help you and let me step in. But I do need your help on this side. We got to lock in your pricing. If me and you need to jump on a call after you've listened to this and try to cover some of that some more, let me know. But I just wanted to go through this and show you. I actually have a tool on the internet where you can put in like the square footage, your material cost of $2. You can put like a material buffer of like 5%, whatever you want to do. If you're doing a day rate of 700 and the days on site is going to be 1.5, your overhead is already in that day rate, right? So for a $500 job with $2 in material, your price rate, you should be charging about $4,000 for that. And I think you're quoting way under. Well, let me take out that waste buffer. Still. Oh yeah, and I also wanted to tell you, you need to charge a minimum job fee. Like if somebody came in with like 80 square foot, well, even that, Look, I just think you're charging way too low. So let me know if you want this tool. You can pull it up on your phone and you can put in, like, you saw how fast I did that, right? And you can get your pricing. And so like I could give this website to your sales guy and he can make sure. And like I said, whenever you're there on site, you want to tell them, hey, for this let's do a 500 square foot for $2 per square foot, a day rate of $700 per day for a day and a half on a flake job, right? You need to tell those people you need to start at 4,600. And the lowest that you'll take for that job is 4,100. If you really want to go crazy and make as much money as you can and be the best, you have to present yourself as the best company ever. You can start here. And then you have, like you said, you're giving yourself $1,000 to be able to discount. But again, you don't want to go under this or else you start losing profitability. It's your cost times two. Your material, labor, and overhead, whatever that is, times two is the lowest amount of money that you should take for jobs. Okay? Let me know if this is confusing or if you have any questions or anything like that for me.